rockoftalk.com. I'm Eddie Eric on the Rock of Talk with me, Tego, and Tracy Venturi, the Venturi Real Estate Group from Keller Williams Realty. You can pick up the phone and dial them directly right now, 448-8888. That's 448-8888, or welcomehomeabq.com. That's welcomehomeabq.com. It's the #1 real estate website here in the state of New Mexico, where everything now is online. Everything's been shut down, but welcomehomeabq.com is not shut down. Neither is the phone line, and neither is Tego and Tracy. Tego and Tracy, good morning. How are you?
Not hardly.
Good morning.
Not in the slightest.
There you go.
We continuing on, right, Tracy?
That's right.
So,
real estate's
lots of things happening this week, Tracy. I know that you're very big on the open houses and keeping that. The open houses may be shut, but the transaction, the other ways that you guys can leverage that technology, you have the ability to display many of these houses in a 3-dimensional format, direct with the floor plans and everything else. And all you have to do is visit Tego and Tracy, 448-8888. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Thanks, right. Eddie. You know, thank you for that, Eddie. So we have a few new homes on the market that we're supposed to have grand open houses this past weekend and this coming weekend. And, you know, we're not able to do those. However, the houses still can be viewed, right?
They can.
And especially on our website at welcomehomeabq.com. But there are ways for you to view them in person if you're looking for something. Yep. So we do have a few new ones on the market and a few others that are coming soon.
Yep.
You know, there's one in Rio Rancho I want to specifically talk about. It's on Colorado Mountain and 107 Colorado Mountain, new on the market this week.
Is that Loma, Colorado, or am I?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
The street sounds like it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Okay.
It's close to Unser and Abrazo.
Okay.
Sort of.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Got
quite as far as northern.
Got it.
Anyway, a custom home that's exceptionally energy efficient. It has trom walls for passive solar. It's got brick floors in half of the house, and the other half is a beautiful acid washed concrete.
You told me about this house. A lot of little custom details.
A lot of custom details. Yeah. It's $288,000. It's a 3-bedroom. It's on 1/3 of an acre. Very move-in ready, really a great floor plan. So if you're looking for something like that, let us know.
Well, let's talk about the big topic of the week that we're all experiencing here in New Mexico, which is, air quote, being shut down. Of course, you know, we're at our office here on Alameda by ourselves.
Recording.
Yep.
Office is closed.
Little studio that we've created in our office. But, you know, it's funny. We were prepared for this, right? We've got the studio here. We don't have to go down to Eddie's station.
We don't get to, which is a bummer.
I know.
You know, it's great to be in Eddie's space and
because he has
live with him.
He has the wine show too, you know, so he usually has leftovers.
Yeah, so we're missing out on that. But you know, we've been doing...
I was going to say though is, you know, there's a lot of people out and about. We've all seen it, right? But I think for the most part, people are being respectful. And the thing is, real estate continues.
Real estate does continue. And, you know, people still need to shelter. If they need to shelter in place, they need shelter, right?
Yes.
Pretty important. So we're able to continue the process for those folks who already were in the process of buying a house or selling a house. And we have lots of ways to help people who are still in the market to buy or sell. So despite, you know, the real estate shutdown, we have a lot of strategies and a lot of ways to help people.
Just to backpedal a little bit, if people don't recognize or realize what's happened in real estate back in March and whenever it was the first shutdown that we had, there was the list of, you know, essential services, essential companies that could remain open as long as they were following safe practices. Well, with the announcement and the directive that came out on Friday, real estate was not on the list, which surprised a lot of people because really real estate and the real estate, you know, buying and selling process, it can be very contactless, right? So much of what we do now in the real estate business is digital, from looking at homes online, you know, virtual tours like Eddie just talked about. You know, you can get on and do Google Street Views and walk up and down the street of the neighbor. I mean, you can get a pretty good idea of, you know, what's going on before you actually go out and visit a property.
Right.
Also, the contract side and the actual process. I mean, we don't sit down together and go through contracts together anymore. Everything's digital. Everything's electronic signatures. So there isn't a lot of contact in the real estate world. And I'm putting that out there into New Mexico here because hopefully that'll trickle up to the office of the governors to understand that real estate can be done very safely, and there's ways to do showings that are very safely where we do have to meet, but I'm hoping it can get back to it because of the huge economic impact that real estate has on our economy.
Which is one of the topics for today. So This is Albuquerque Real Estate Talk with Tego and Tracy Venturi. We are with Keller Williams Realty, the Venturi Realty Group. We have a great group of licensed agents that work with us to help with buyers and sellers. Give us a call, 448-8888. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions that you might have.
We're here to solve your real estate problem.
That's right.
How's that?
That's good. So, Tego, I'm sure you have some stats for us.
Well, what I wanted to talk about was the economic impact of real estate, because I think I want to, keep perspective here, because at the beginning of this shutdown, there was a lot of concern about the economy. Well, there still is, right?
Right.
And actually, in this last week, even more than before for New Mexico in particular. The thing is, in Albuquerque, in the last few years, we've averaged somewhere around 14,000 real estate sales, home sales
per year.
Okay, so that's a lot. That's just in the greater Albuquerque area, the Albuquerque MLS. You think about that. That's let me just run this out here so you understand. That's $3.8 billion worth of real estate per year.
Just in the value of the buildings, or not the economic impact?
No, not the economic impact.
Right.
But that's, 3.8 billion, which is a big number. But for every sale, every property that sells, there's been a bunch of studies on this, how much economic impact that it puts into the economy. And for a new construction home, it's somewhere around $75,000.
Right.
But even for a resale home, let's say we just cut that in half, be very conservative, cut that in half. Let's say it's around $36,000 for every home that sells. That's money into the local economy. And, Tracy, you know what that is. That's home inspectors. Oh, you did the math. Look at that.
$504 million.
$504 million. That's
half.
$500 million every year that flows into the Albuquerque area economy from residential real estate sales.
And I believe that it's probably higher than that, because you just took half of what they say.
I was being conservative.
They say it's, $72,000 for every sale
for new construction.
Right.
So new construction is more obviously because you're building and contractors,
building supply and things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if it's 36, it's a huge part of what's keeping things going.
And and understand, we're not talking just about the real estate agent and the loan officers and the title company, the people that are very tightly connected to it. We're talking about restaurants.
Talking about hotels.
We're talking
moving
about moving companies, furniture
Target,
companies,
home stores,
right?
Yeah, there's so many.
Remodelers, tile setters, painters, roofers,
right.
blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So yeah, it's a big impact on our economy, and hopefully we can get things rolling again, because there's a lot of demand for real estate right now. And let's get into that, Tracy. In New Mexico, in Albuquerque, we were at starting this week, we were already at a record low number of homes on the market.
Right.
And I've got some stats.
I thought you might have some stats.
So obviously Friday when we heard the news, it was kind of a gut punch. Not this Friday, but a week ago Friday, that real estate might be getting shut down. I was like, okay, what's going to happen? Are people going to take their home off the market? Are they going to cancel, and not, show their home? There's an option for people that have a home. And let me put this out there. There is an option for people that have their home listed for sale right now to what we call withdraw it from the multiple listing service, right, Tracy?
It's to withdraw it from available for showings.
Yes.
It still shows up in the multiple listing service.
Well, yeah, but it basically means that the home is still for sale, but there's no marketing and there's no showings going on. And so I was thinking that a lot of people would opt into that. Just this week, though, it was 22 people withdrew out of 1,400 homes on the market.
So it wasn't a big flood to withdraw from the market. No. And we had one where our clients took it off the market, but it really had nothing to do with, one of those numbers is a house we had listed, but it had nothing to do with that.
Well, to put that in perspective, so it was 22 this week, 18 the week before, 8 the week before that, 14 the week before that. So it's, it wasn't, yes, it was a little higher, but it's not like this huge flood of people coming off the market. The one stat that jumped out at me, though, was we've been seeing about 150 new properties come on the market every week in the Albuquerque area. This week it was only 105. So I think what's happening is people that were going to be putting their home on the market hit the pause button, which hopefully that means, come a few weeks from now, those homes will come on the market because there are so many buyers waiting, right?
And it may not be that at all. That's, okay. It went down to 105, but it is Thanksgiving week next week.
Good point.
Right? It may have been a typical slowdown, right? It's that time of year where not as many people are thinking to put their home on the market.
I like it when you prove me right or wrong or whatever that was, something like that. But
it's just a contrasting view.
No, I like that. We need contrasting views, don't we?
Yeah. So it's it could be that. If you looked historically, it might be that this time of year, people are thinking the holidays are coming. I'm not going to put my house on the market. Although, there is no better time right now than now to put your home on the market because the competition is down and the buyers are still out looking. We put several houses under contract this week for buyers, and there are ways. And, we actually have buyers who are looking at virtual tours and making a decision to go forward and buy a house and maybe making it contingent upon viewing the home in person. And then the sellers feel better about having them in their home, right?
So how does that work for a home buyer, Tracy, they're like, they want a home, they need a home, interest rates. Oh, by the way, interest rates, they hit another all-time low this week. Interest rates are crazy low. Want to buy a house. I can't go out and look at houses, sort of, kind of. So what do they do? Obviously, people get online, right? They look online. But what other options do they have for investigating homes, looking at homes, searching for homes?
Well, so we have a couple strategies, Tego. The governor's mandate says we're not supposed to meet in person. So a lot of times what we're doing is we're getting permission from the sellers to still view their home. And they're like, yes, or it's a vacant house and we can still view it.
Sure.
And the agent might be going on their own and doing a FaceTime type tour, a walkthrough with like the cell phone, a video.
I know I know there's.
I don't even have FaceTime, right? So I don't know why I always say FaceTime, but
people understand it that have iPhones. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But there's Google Messenger, right? The Facebook Messenger. Yeah. There's Duo, there's Skype, there's
Zoom,
WhatsApp, there's Zoom, there's, all these different ways to virtually walk through a house. And then there's a way to open the house for a client, let them walk through it on their own.
Yep.
And then we go back in, make sure everything's locked up, cleaned.
Yep.
And ready to go. It just takes a little bit longer.
Being safe, being careful. Yeah. And then of course there are the virtual tours. A lot of the homes have what we call a virtual tour,
right,
which is a scan, basically a 3D scan using a special camera that allows you to literally walk through the home on your computer and explore the home. You can look up, down, left, right. Obviously, it's not the same experience. You don't get to know what it smells like.
Well, and I was just going to say, Tego, I always think about Chase Countryman on our team, because he always says he makes sure to tell people what the house smells like when he's doing virtual tours.
Well, he does a lot of
virtual tours.
Well, he has a lot of military clients, right?
Right.
And so he, a lot of times people are PCSing here, and so permanent change of station, so they're coming to Kirtland, and they're going to be almost buying sight unseen.
A lot of them have. Yeah. Chase has helped a lot of people who have made a purchase just from his virtual walkthroughs of the house, where he goes through and, with his phone. And, I can't think of one, Tego, where somebody got here to see their home in person. They may have already had it under contract.
Yep.
Sometimes they've actually already closed on it before they see it in person.
Yep.
And they don't say, oh, I don't like this house, right? They really get a good feel for what the house is. And when Chase does the smell test for them, we're all good, right?
The Google Street Views is pretty amazing too. And I use that when we first start evaluating a property that we haven't seen yet. We go right there. We go to Google Street Views. You can look up and down the street, get a feel for the neighborhood.
Of course, we know the neighborhoods pretty well.
That's true.
You've got somebody who's in Germany at a Air Force Base, and they're coming to Kirtland.
Good point.
They don't know where the churches and the schools and the parks and all those things are in relation to houses, but we can take them down Street View and they can see it. For us, we get oriented very quickly.
Yeah.
For them, we have to help get them oriented faster.
Tracy, one topic, there was a lot of news this week just in the national real estate news. The one thing I wanted to point out was the Home Buyer Sentiment Index.
Right.
Which is a survey of home builders in the United States done by the Home Builders Association of the United States. And they do this, like 0 to 100, and it kind of charts, how optimistic you are about, home building and your business. The November survey was at the all-time high. It was at 90 out of 100. And, put that in perspective, in April it was at 30, because obviously we were all
COVID.
Freaking out in April. So builders are very optimistic right now. We've seen that here locally. We know the builders, there's this kind of strange thing going on because there are some closeout homes available on the market right now.
A few.
Prices are much higher than they were just 6 months ago.
Let's talk about closeout homes.
Yeah.
Those are houses the builder has already built, and they're waiting for the right buyer to come along.
Yep.
And year end is coming.
Yep.
Not all of them have December as their annual year end.
Yep.
But quarterly, it makes a difference for them. So they have some specials on those houses to get them sold by the end of the year.
Let's see. Let me put a percentage on this. I'm going to say, of those homes right now that are for sale as closeouts, the price that you can buy those at right now, if you're to buy that same model next year, I assure you it's going to be more expensive. Home builder costs have gone up substantially. Labor costs, material costs, across the board.
Just all the shipping and the materials.
So if somebody's interested in looking at new homes,
give us a ring, 448-8888. There are a few really great ones, from Volterra, which is right next to the Air Force Base, to the west side in the Petroglyph area, like Inspiration, where Pulte Homes is building.
Mm-hmm.
D.R. Horton has a new neighborhood they just opened at the Hawk site.
Yep.
There's several.
No, Mountain Hawk.
Mountain Hawk. Yeah, Mountain Hawk. Several new neighborhoods. Hakes Brothers has the new one by Volcano Vista High School on the west side. A really beautiful neighborhood, beautiful homes. So quite a few opportunities if you're in the market for new construction, which typically, besides the obvious, no one else has lived there.
Yes.
Energy efficiency and the floor plans are more how people live today.
Yep. And that's another thing, if you go to the new home builder websites these days, you'll see a lot of the features that people are wanting right now since COVID, which is, more work at home space, home office space, kids, homework station, stuff like that. So That's been a big deal.
They were already pivoting that way before COVID hit. So it turned out really well because a lot of them do have sort of a smaller kind of kids workstation close to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Where, when our kids were little, they always wanted to be right there.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
So Tracy, let's talk about, we get a lot of questions about home inspections.
Yes.
And just about every real estate transaction, when there's a purchase, a buy sell, there is some sort of inspections done. And I want to just kind of go through with you what those options are, what buyers should be thinking about. We'll talk more about buyers and sellers, but what buyers are thinking about when they're wanting to buy and they're going to get an inspection done. First off, what's the difference between a home inspection and an appraisal?
An appraisal is to verify the value for the lender of the value of the home, not the condition of the home. An appraiser goes through it, and if there's some obvious condition issues that they are concerned about for the lender, that could come up. But they're really not there to do an inspection of the condition. They're looking for value. So Tego, when we are selling homes, we have the opportunity in the purchase agreement to write down what inspections that the buyer might want.
Yeah.
But our purchase agreement also has where we don't have to write down anything unless we want the seller to pay for it. So it's interesting because a lot of times people say, I want to make my offer stronger and not list that I'm going to do inspections. Well, you don't have to list what inspections you're going to do. A buyer can do any inspections they want, even if it wasn't on the who pays for what page of the purchase agreement.
Right.
So let's talk about what some of our typical inspections are.
Can I just give you one caveat? The buyer can do any inspections they want as long as it doesn't damage the property and they're paying for it.
Right.
It's
a good caveat.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Some things do damage, like doing a lead paint test. You just need to get permission because they do have to scrape through a few layers of paint to get the chemical on there to see if there's lead paint. So they do need to get that approval.
That's a very obscure inspection, I would say.
Very obscure
but
here.
What's the standard, what we call full home inspection? What is that?
So typically when we sell houses, most people get a full home inspection. And the full home covers everything from the exterior, the grounds, how the water slopes towards or away from the house. It covers the roof, the exterior, and then the interior. And the inspectors typically start inside the front door and they go wall to wall all the way through the property,
Yep.
and they go from room to room to room. They check electrical, windows, appliances, heating, cooling, roof, and they give a full written report usually within a day. So if they note something, Tego, a lot of times they might say, hey, the roof needs to be looked at by a licensed professional. So just because you had that inspection doesn't mean you can't then order another inspection specific.
So an example of that would be they do the home inspection and they note that the water's running slow or draining slow or something like that. So they say, well, maybe you should get
a licensed plumber
or do a sewer scope, right? That's another type of inspection where they put a camera through the sewer line to make sure that it's clear.
Make sure it's not broken, crushed, things like that. So the typical home inspections we see in our market, full home, which is kind of everything, nuts to bolts. And then there's usually a pest inspection, which is typically termites and dry rot. Dry rot is a fungus, mostly on wood here. And then we usually see sewer line inspections, which is the camera scope you just mentioned. So those are the main three. If it's a property that's on well and septic, of course, the well and septic.
Just a note on that. If it is a septic, that's required by state law, by the New Mexico State Environment Department.
Right.
You have to inspect septic systems before you can transfer ownership.
And if there's a loan on it, the lender's going to require the water test also. They're going to make sure there's no coliform or E. coli.
So one of the other ones we see, Tracy, is the radon test. You want to talk about that a little bit? And that's a loaded one because I know, it's like, should I get it or should I not get it?
So radon testing is a machine they put in the house typically for 2 or 3 days that sniffs the air basically in the house every hour and gives you a readout. And there's a level that the government has said is acceptable.
Yeah.
And some people firmly believe that radon is an issue and they want to get it tested. And some people think it's not. What we typically see, and it varies greatly, is where there's a lot of rock and granite and fissures through it.
Yep.
And the granite, the radon kind of comes up in a more concentrated place.
The Sandia Mountains are just a big chunk of granite.
Right. So typically the closer you are to the mountain, that's where you typically see it. But we've seen it in the valley. We've seen radon be a little bit high in Rio Rancho once. So it's kind of a personal thing if you want radon. It's not a common inspection here, but it's possible. Then there's lead paint, which we talked about briefly.
Sure.
So lead paint houses built before 1978 have the potential to have lead paint on the walls or whatever.
Yeah.
We've had about 3 lead paint tests in my whole 18 years of real estate. Most people that are buying a house that was pre-1978, they just assume there's probably a layer of lead paint there.
Yeah.
And they just deal with it. But you know, sometimes people want the actual test. And, you know, honestly, I think of the tests that I've been witness to, they both came back negative where I was standing there and they did the test. So those are kind of the quick.
Yeah. So just wrapping up this conversation about home inspections, I would never recommend, and nobody should ever waive home inspections on a property. Even if it's a bank-owned property that's in really poor condition, you still have the right to go through and at least look at the condition of the property, because go ahead, you're going to say something.
I was going to say, even if it's a brand new construction, you can get a home inspection. And we have had people find a long list of things that need to be addressed on a new construction.
And it's hard for us to do a summary right here because we're talking big picture. Every home is different. Every home is going to have things that come up that you know, you really just need to consult your realtor about. And, you know, what are you going to do? What are you not going to do? You know, what are you comfortable? What are you not comfortable with? And so that's the thing you just need to know about home inspections. Get them done. But remember, you don't have to decide right at the point of contract what you're going to get inspected. You have a certain amount of time to do all this due diligence, right, and don't feel like you have to decide right away. So if you get in there and you find, you know, something sketchy with the roof, you can then get a professional roofer out there to look at it as well.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's that. Tracy, you said I just wanted to talk about some homes. We do have some homes coming on the market. However, like I said earlier, because of the current shutdown situation, we're not seeing as many homes come on the market this week that we have in the past. So if you're out there waiting for the right home to come on the market, be sure to reach out to us so that we can be looking in the MLS. There are a couple nooks and crannies in the MLS, which are that don't go out to the public listing sites like Zillow or even our website, or, you know, thousands of other websites that have real estate listings. There are some listings in there. One status is called coming soon. Another status is called withdrawn. And so they're in the MLS and realtors can see them. You won't be able to go look at them, but at least you'll know they're out there. So when they are ready to be shown, you're ready to go.
Perfect. And we do have some buyers looking for houses. So if you are thinking of selling, here's a couple that we need.
Yeah.
We're looking for a very beautiful luxury property in the North Valley. We have a buyer just waiting for a luxury property in the North Valley. Mm-hmm. We also have somebody looking for El Dorado or La Cueva School District up to $400,000.
Okay.
Another client, the same, La Cueva or El Dorado up to $300,000 or $350,000.
Okay.
So if you have a house that you're thinking of selling, we may have a buyer for that. So let us know. We have
really
several other needs too.
Really good chance.
But those are the quick. You know, the North Valley one. Poor this guy just keeps trying to find the right house, and they're selling so fast. So
yeah.
If you have something, let us know.
I'm still optimistic about the real estate market. I know this week was a gut punch for a lot of people, and I will say that, you know, it does look like real estate's going to stay strong at this point, and, you know, unless something changes. Again, interest rates hit another low. We're seeing like 2.75 on a 30-year fixed mortgage. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Yeah, I know, Eddie. It's like, here we are. Well, Chris will tell you all about that too. So,
yep.
All right, we'll do it all again next week right here with Tego and Tracy, the Venturi Real Estate Group from Keller Williams Realty. You can pick up the phone and dial them directly, 448-8888. That's 448-8888, or welcomehomeabq.com. That's welcomehomeabq.com. We're going to get you qualified.